Men, let's be real for a moment. One of the hardest things to accept in relationships is when a woman is with you, but her heart isn't fully there. She may care about you on some level, but deep down she knows she's forcing herself to stay. And if you pay close attention, you'll notice the signs. These are not little mood swings or temporary frustrations. These are clear indicators that the love she shows isn't natural, it's manufactured. As men, it's easy to ignore these signs because the thought of losing her feels worse than facing the truth. You may convince yourself she just needs time, or that if you put in more effort, things will change. But here's the harsh reality. Genuine love doesn't need to be forced. A woman who truly loves you will make it known in her energy, her actions, and how she prioritizes you. When she's forcing herself, everything feels strained, and no matter how much you give, it never feels like enough. This is where many men lose precious years, stuck in relationships with women who are emotionally checked out. They think holding on will save the connection, when in fact, letting go might be the only way to save themselves. Recognizing these signs early doesn't just protect your heart, it saves your time, your energy, and your future. What you're about to learn are the top signs a woman is forcing herself to love you. These are patterns, behaviors, and small details that reveal the truth she may never say out loud. Some of them are subtle, while others are impossible to ignore. But once you understand them, you'll never look at your relationship the same way again. Let's get into it.
1. She avoids intimacy. One of the most telling signs that a woman is forcing herself to love you is the way she reacts to intimacy. I'm not just talking about sex, though that's part of it. I'm talking about the closeness that couples naturally share when they're genuinely in love. When a woman is deeply connected to you, she craves your touch, your presence, and your affection. She'll want to kiss you, hold your hand, cuddle on the couch, or lean on your shoulder when you're out together. These gestures come naturally when her heart is in the relationship. But when she's forcing herself, intimacy becomes more of a chore than a desire. She'll give excuses to avoid physical closeness, saying she's tired, busy, or just not in the mood. Over time, this avoidance grows into a pattern. You'll notice she no longer reaches for your hand. She rarely initiates a kiss. And even when you try, she may pull away or act like it's a big effort. It feels like her body is present, but her heart isn't. This isn't always about physical connection either. Emotional intimacy suffers as well. She won't open up to you the way she used to. Conversations that used to flow easily now feel forced or shallow. When you ask her how she feels, she gives short answers. When you try to share something personal, she seems distracted, uninterested, or gives you a flat response. It's as if the emotional bridge between you has been cut, and no matter how hard you try to rebuild it, she doesn't meet you halfway. Pay attention to the way she responds in private moments. A woman who loves you will light up around you. She'll lean in, make eye contact, and show warmth. But a woman who's forcing herself will feel cold, distant, and disconnected. You'll sense it in her body language, crossed arms, lack of eye contact, or always finding ways to stay busy instead of sitting close to you. Now, here's the hard truth. If intimacy feels one-sided, it's not because you're not trying enough. It's because she's emotionally not there anymore. You can't beg or bargain your way into her heart. Intimacy is a mirror of love. And when the mirror shows emptiness, it's a sign you need to face. 2. She's always distracted. Another clear sign that a woman is forcing herself to love you is her inability to be fully present when she's with you. Think back to the early days of your relationship. She probably hung on to your every word, looked you in the eye, and gave you her full attention. When a woman's feelings are strong, she naturally invests her energy into the person she loves. But when those feelings fade, distraction becomes her escape. You'll notice she's glued to her phone more often. Maybe she's scrolling through social media, replying to friends, or pretending to be busy with work, even when you know she isn't. When you talk, her responses feel automatic, as though she's not really listening. She nods or gives one-word answers, but her mind is clearly somewhere else. This is not just about being busy. This is about lack of interest. When a woman forces herself to stay in love, her attention wanders because her heart isn't anchored to you anymore. You might also see her pulling away during moments that used to excite her. A date night that once felt like a highlight of her week now feels like an obligation. She goes, but her energy is flat. You're talking, but she's checking the time. You're sharing something important, but she looks like she'd rather be anywhere else. That constant sense that she's distracted, mentally, emotionally, even physically, is a powerful indicator that she's not in it fully. Distraction also shows up in her consistency. Plans with you suddenly become less of a priority. She cancels last minute. She forgets things you told her, or she keeps pushing quality time further down her list. And when she does show up, she's not really present. You get the feeling she's just going through the motions, waiting for it to be over. Here's the part most men miss. When a woman is truly into you, she makes space for you no matter what. Even on her busiest days, she finds a moment to call, to text, to ask about your life. But when she's forcing herself, she treats your presence like background noise. There, but not important. And no matter how much effort you put in to capture her attention, it slips right through your hands. Don't ignore this behavior. If she's constantly distracted around you, it's not because she's suddenly overwhelmed with life. It's because the emotional spark that kept her invested is no longer burning. And once distraction becomes her default, you're not her priority anymore. You're just her habit. 3. Her words don't match her actions. One of the strongest signs that a woman is forcing herself to love you is when her words say one thing, but her actions reveal something completely different. Love is not just spoken, it's lived. When a woman truly loves you, her actions line up naturally with the things she says. If she tells you she misses you, she'll show up to see you or make an effort to connect. If she says she cares about your happiness, she'll take steps to bring positivity into your life. But when her feelings aren't genuine anymore, the balance between words and actions falls apart. You'll hear her say things like, "I love you," or "You mean so much to me." But it feels empty. There's no warmth behind it, no follow-through. She may use affectionate words out of obligation, almost like a script she thinks she's supposed to follow. The problem is, you can feel when it's forced. Her voice sounds flat, her timing feels wrong, and it comes across more like reassurance than genuine affection. Look closely at her actions after these words. Does she back them up? For example, she might tell you she wants to spend more time together, but then she constantly makes excuses when you try to plan something. Or she says you're important, yet her priorities consistently show otherwise. She'll say you matter, but you're always last on her list. This contradiction creates confusion, and deep down, you know something isn't right. Another example is in moments of conflict. She might tell you she wants to work things out, but then she avoids tough conversations or makes no effort to fix the issues between you. She'll say she wants a future with you, but she takes no steps toward building one. Words without consistent action are nothing more than a mask. And when that mask starts to slip, you'll see the truth. Men often ignore this red flag because the words sound comforting. Hearing "I love you" feels good, even if everything else points to the opposite. But love cannot survive on words alone. If she's saying the right things but living in the opposite direction, it's a sign her heart isn't aligned with her mouth. She's forcing herself to keep up the illusion, hoping you'll believe the performance. Remember this. A woman who truly loves you doesn't just talk, she shows it. Her words and her actions walk hand in hand. When that connection breaks, when you feel the constant mismatch, that's not love anymore. That's a woman trying to convince both you and herself of feelings that no longer exist. 4. She stops making effort. Relationships thrive when both people put in effort. It's not about grand gestures every single day, but about the little things: checking in, showing care, planning time together, and being intentional about keeping the spark alive. When a woman is truly in love, she naturally invests energy into the relationship. She wants to look good for you, surprise you, support you, and share in the growth of the bond. But when she's forcing herself to love you, that effort slowly fades, sometimes without you realizing it at first. At the beginning, you might remember her being excited to see you. She would dress up, bring energy into your conversations, and create moments that made you feel special. Over time, though, you start to notice the shift. She doesn't bother with those little things anymore. She doesn't plan dates, doesn't ask about your day with genuine curiosity, and doesn't show interest in the things that matter to you. The relationship begins to feel one-sided, with you putting in most of the energy while she just goes along for the ride. This lack of effort shows up in many ways. Maybe she no longer texts or calls first. She replies but without excitement. Maybe she doesn't put time aside to see you unless you push for it. Even when you're together, it feels like she's just showing up physically but not emotionally. There's no sparkle in her eyes, no genuine laughter, no warmth that makes you feel connected. It also shows up in how she handles problems. A woman who truly loves you will want to solve issues and protect the relationship. She'll be willing to talk things out and find solutions. But when she's forcing herself, she avoids putting in that emotional work. Arguments don't get resolved. They just get brushed aside. The distance grows, and she doesn't fight to close it. Men often confuse this with her being busy or tired. And sure, life can get overwhelming sometimes. But when someone truly loves you, they'll still find ways to show it, even if it's a quick message, a small gesture, or an effort to reassure you that you matter. The difference is consistency. If her lack of effort becomes the norm, that's not life getting in the way. That's her feelings fading. Here's the truth. Effort is a reflection of love. If she's not showing up for you the way she used to, if you feel like you're carrying the relationship alone, it's because she's no longer invested. And once effort disappears, the relationship is already halfway out the door. 5. She gets easily irritated. When a woman is genuinely in love, she has patience with you. She laughs at your quirks, overlooks your flaws, and even finds charm in the small things that make you unique. But when she's forcing herself to love you, the patience vanishes. Suddenly, the very things she once found cute or tolerable become sources of constant irritation. This shift is one of the most obvious signs that her heart isn't in it anymore. You'll notice her tone changing first. She snaps at you over little things, how you eat, how you talk, or even how you breathe too loudly. Things that never used to bother her now trigger frustration. She sighs a lot around you, rolls her eyes, or uses sarcasm instead of kindness. It feels like you can't do anything right, no matter how hard you try. And deep down, you know it's not really about what you're doing. It's about how she feels toward you. Irritation also shows in her lack of patience for communication. When you want to share something, she cuts you off. When you ask questions, she gives cold or dismissive answers. Conversations that should be light and easy turn into arguments or awkward silences. This change in her energy is a reflection of what's happening inside. She's struggling to stay in something her heart isn't aligned with. You may also notice that she compares you, sometimes openly, sometimes subtly. She might say things like, "Why don't you do things like so-and-so?" or "Other men would." These comparisons sting because they're not really about you. They're about her frustration with being in a situation she doesn't truly want. Her irritation is not a reaction to your flaws, but to her own unhappiness. The most painful part for many men is realizing that no amount of perfection can fix this. You can try to improve, you can bend over backward to please her, but if her irritation is rooted in forced feelings, nothing you do will make her satisfied. Her annoyance isn't about the small habits, it's about the absence of genuine love. Here's the truth: love makes room for grace. A woman in love gives you space to be yourself, flaws and all. A woman who's forcing herself doesn't have that grace anymore. Every little thing you do becomes another reason for her to feel trapped. And when irritation takes the place of affection, you're no longer in a loving partnership. You're in a situation where she's just enduring. If you notice this shift, don't dismiss it as just stress or just her mood. Pay attention. Because once irritation becomes her default response to you, it's a loud signal that she's forcing herself to stay. 6. She avoids talking about the future. A powerful sign that a woman is forcing herself to love you is her hesitation or complete avoidance when it comes to discussing the future. In a healthy relationship, a woman who's truly invested wants to imagine and build a life with you. She talks about where you might live, the trips you'll take, the family you could raise, or even simple things like next month's plans. Those conversations happen naturally because her heart sees you in her future. But when she's forcing herself, the future becomes an uncomfortable topic. You'll notice she changes the subject when you bring it up. If you ask about long-term goals, she gives vague answers. If you suggest something as small as a holiday trip months ahead, she hesitates or avoids committing. She'll say things like, "Let's wait and see," or "I'm not sure yet," even about small plans. It feels like she's keeping the door half open, not ready to step through it with you. This avoidance is more than just uncertainty. It's emotional distance. Deep down, she knows she doesn't see you as part of her future, so she avoids creating a vision that includes you. She might even get irritated when you try to talk about long-term goals because it forces her to confront the truth she's been trying to hide. Her love isn't strong enough to move forward. Watch for how she reacts to milestones. Does she seem excited about anniversaries, meeting family, or discussing serious commitments? Or does she brush them off, make excuses, or act like they're no big deal? A woman who's forcing herself won't show enthusiasm about growing with you. Instead, she'll live in the present with you, but secretly imagine a future without you. Another way this shows is in her decision-making. If she makes plans that clearly don't involve you, moving to another city, starting something new without your input, or talking about life changes as if she's single, it's because she's not building her life around the relationship. She's keeping her options open, whether she admits it or not. Here's the tough part. Many men ignore this sign because they don't want to pressure her. They think giving her time will make her more comfortable with the idea of the future. But love doesn't need convincing. If she truly loved you, she'd be excited to imagine life with you, even if she wasn't ready for every detail. Avoidance is not hesitation. It's a silent confession that her heart isn't fully there. So pay attention to her response when the future comes up. If she avoids it, minimizes it, or shuts it down, it's not because she's shy or scared of commitment. It's because she's forcing herself to stay in the present with you while her heart is already drifting somewhere else. 7. She doesn't respect you anymore. Respect is the backbone of every relationship. Without it, love cannot survive. A woman who truly loves you will respect your opinions, your boundaries, your time, and your role in her life. Even when she disagrees, she will approach you with a level of care and understanding. But when she's forcing herself to love you, respect fades quickly, and once it's gone, everything else in the relationship starts to crumble. You'll notice small shifts first. She interrupts you when you speak, brushes off your ideas, or laughs at things you take seriously. Over time, these small signs grow louder. She starts talking down to you, criticizing you in front of others, or making sarcastic comments that cut deeper than she realizes. Instead of treating you like her partner, she treats you like someone she has to tolerate. One of the clearest signs of lost respect is when she stops valuing your time. She shows up late without apology, cancels plans at the last minute, or acts like being with you is optional rather than important. This is her way of showing that she no longer sees your presence as something meaningful. Respect also shows up in how she talks about you to others. If she used to speak highly of you, but now you hear her making negative comments, rolling her eyes, or downplaying your importance, that's not love, it's disconnection. When a woman truly loves you, she builds you up, both privately and publicly. When she's forcing herself, she no longer protects your image. Instead, she slowly chips away at it. Pay attention to her support, or lack of it. A respectful woman celebrates your wins and encourages you in your struggles. But when her respect is gone, she minimizes your achievements, ignores your challenges, and sometimes even makes you feel like nothing you do is good enough. It's not about whether you succeed or fail. It's about her losing the emotional investment that once made her proud to stand beside you. Here's something many men overlook. Once a woman loses respect, it rarely comes back. You can improve, achieve more, or try harder. But if she's forcing herself to stay, she'll continue to see you through that lens of disconnection. Respect is tied to genuine love. Without love, respect withers. And once respect withers, the relationship is on life support. This is the stage where many men feel the deepest pain. Because love without respect doesn't just feel cold. It feels humiliating. You find yourself questioning your worth, doubting your role, and trying to earn back something that should have never been lost in the first place. If you notice her respect disappearing, don't excuse it or tell yourself it's just a rough patch. Respect is a choice. And if she's no longer choosing to give it, it's because her heart isn't truly in the relationship anymore. 8. She pulls away emotionally. One of the deepest and most painful signs that a woman is forcing herself to love you is when she begins to pull away emotionally. Love thrives on emotional closeness, the ability to share, to open up, to lean on each other. When a woman is truly in love, she lets you into her world. She tells you her fears, her dreams, her struggles, and her victories. You become her safe space. But when she's forcing herself, that openness disappears, and she starts to build walls instead of bridges. You'll notice she no longer talks to you the way she used to. Conversations that once lasted for hours now barely scratch the surface. She doesn't confide in you about her day or her feelings. She may tell you what happened, but she won't tell you how she felt about it. The emotional intimacy is gone, replaced by shallow exchanges that leave you feeling like strangers under the same roof. When you try to connect, she may seem distant or uninterested. She listens half-heartedly, changes the subject quickly, or gives vague responses that shut the door on deeper conversation. You can sense that her mind is elsewhere, and no matter how hard you try, you can't break through the barrier she's built. Another painful aspect of emotional withdrawal is how it affects conflict. Instead of working things out, she avoids it altogether. She doesn't want to explain how she feels, she doesn't want to hear your side, and she doesn't care enough to find solutions. Silence replaces communication, and avoidance replaces connection. It's like talking to a wall. You're present, but she's emotionally absent. This emotional distance also shows in her affection. Even when she's physically with you, it feels empty. She hugs without warmth, kisses without passion, and says, "I love you," like it's a chore rather than a truth. The words are there, but the heart behind them is missing. That hollowness is one of the clearest indicators that she's forcing herself to stay. The hardest part for men is realizing that emotional distance is rarely temporary. Sure, people get stressed or overwhelmed at times, but genuine love always finds its way back to closeness. When the distance becomes a consistent pattern, it's not about stress, it's about disconnection. She's already checked out emotionally, even if she hasn't left physically. This is why many men feel like they're chasing shadows. They sense her slipping away, but no matter what they do, buy gifts, plan dates, pour their hearts out, it doesn't reach her. That's because she's not really open to receiving it anymore. Her heart is gone, and all you're left with is the shell of the woman you once knew. Here's the truth. Once emotional intimacy dies, the relationship is already on borrowed time. If she has pulled away emotionally, it's not because you failed. It's because she's forcing herself to stay in something she no longer feels. And recognizing that truth is the only way to set yourself free. Men, the hardest truth in love is realizing when a woman is forcing herself to be with you. The signs are always there. Her distance, her lack of effort, her irritation, her avoidance of the future, and the emotional walls she builds. Ignoring these signs only keeps you trapped in a relationship that drains your spirit and steals your time. The right woman won't make you beg for love, attention, or respect. She'll give it freely because it's real. Pay attention, value yourself, and never settle for forced affection. Genuine love feels natural, effortless, and undeniable. That's what you deserve.